What's up in War Eagle, everybody? We are back on the Auburn Express, powered by the War Rapport, here live from SEC Media Days 2025. I have the esteemed pleasure to be joined for 2 years in a row. It's his second year, so it could only be 2 years in a row, by the guy Rich Clark, the Executive Director of the College Football Playoff. Mr. Clark.
Yes, sir.
So good to have you back.
It's great to be back.
Absolutely.
Great to be back.
Listen, last time when we talked, you literally had been on the job like 30 seconds, right? Like you hadn't really had an opportunity to kind of assess everything that's going on. You've had an entire year. You've had a 12-team playoff to administer. Tell me how year one went in your estimation.
Well, I will say this. First, thank you for having me again.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. Always good to talk to you guys. I'll say it was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
But it was a lot more fun, and I love it more than I thought I would.
Okay.
And it was really amazing. And I felt like that first 12-team playoff went really well. The first-round games on campuses were really spectacular. I mean, I went to Notre Dame in the Ohio State game. Never seen anything like it. It was electric, and so that was pretty amazing. The quarterfinals and the semifinals were just phenomenal. Our bowl partners did a great job putting those games on. They were, I think, widely viewed. We got great viewership ratings, and the games turned out well. And then the championship game right here in Atlanta was spectacular. So real honor to be a part of all that. But there's 100% certainty that we weren't going to get it 100% right. We knew that it wasn't going to be perfect.
For sure.
And so we're making some changes this year to make it a little bit better. And the main change is that last year the top 5 conference champions got into the playoff. The top 4 of them received a bye. We're not going to do that this year. This year the top 4 teams, period, will get the bye. And so we'll seed them according to their ranking. Okay. And I think that's going to be a big improvement for us this year.
Okay.
And then we're looking at the format for the year following this year, so year after this one. And we're working hard on that to make that a reality. But overall, I thought it was really good, and it gave us a good baseline to build upon from last year and just make it better and keep tweaking it year after year.
So, I mean, was that the big learning that you had? You said, there are some things that you feel like could have been better. Of course, it's not going to be 100% correct. Is the biggest thing that you got as far as learnings from the first year just about the way the seating was going to happen?
Well, I think that was the biggest thing that we knew we could change immediately. Okay. Because we didn't want to wait to make that change. And the commissioners did a good job of recognizing that and being bold enough to go ahead and make the change now. There's some other things that we saw that the commissioners are working on to improve upon the format, and that's underway. So you've probably heard people talk about the automatic qualifier potential, or do we stick with a ranking procedure to fill in the playoff. So we're looking at both of those and the number. How many teams do we really want to have in? Is it 12? Is it 14? Is it 16? Right. And to be honest, I could make an argument for any of those, either of the three. So we're having some pretty in-depth discussions. The commissioners are working really hard on that, and they're being very deliberate, but they still have a little bit of time to make that decision. So I think we could expect maybe later this fall to know what the format will be from 26 and beyond.
So what you said, it was a little more difficult than you thought it was going to be. Yeah. Like, what were the specific challenges, or, I mean, you don't have to get into everything, but like, what were some of the challenges that you felt like you didn't anticipate as far as like challenges with trying to get your arms around this whole process?
Well, I'll say the first thing is fans are brutal. You know
what? I think brutality in fandom they have to go hand in hand with the nature of the rabid just passion that is involved with college football. I don't know that you can get outside of that, but yes, fans being brutal, 100%.
And honestly, it wouldn't be as much fun if they weren't. You know, and in all honesty, I was a brutal fan myself, so I can't complain. Right. I can't complain. But I love that aspect. I love the passion. I say brutality, it's really passion.
Passion, for sure.
And that's what we need. Yeah. We love that, and we love our fans to be vocal. But that makes it kind of tough, because I also own the selection committee.
Right.
And so I have to defend the selection committee and the decisions that they make. And I do because I believe in what they did and the integrity of that committee. Now we're doing some work to try to tweak that process as well. Some of the data tools that we give them, some of the metrics that they use, we're trying to make those a bit better. And some of our processes and procedures we're trying to improve upon. So the selection committee is great, but man, people attacked. Attacked.
Listen, it was. I thought it was the right selection, but a very controversial selection to have SMU as a part of the whole thing, and where the seating was for teams like Boise State in that entire process. And so I can imagine how difficult it is to kind of figure out, based upon whatever data you've got out there, how you're going to seed these people or who belongs in this playoff. And I don't think the addition of more teams, I don't think makes it even easier. It's more guys to choose from, but it's still going to be a difficult process.
Yeah, one thing I learned a long time ago is you're never going to please everyone all the time.
Yeah.
And so you just got to do the right thing. Yeah. And that's what I think the committee did. They did the right thing, and we moved forward. So also, the other thing that I learned is the conference commissioners really have a hard job. They have to they owe it to their conferences to do right by them. They need to represent them in every meeting and in everything they do. That's their job. That's what they get hired to do. But they also have to keep the good of college football in mind when they're making the decisions that they make. So there's a tough balance there that they have to walk. And from my job and where I sit, I'm supposed to help them to build their consensus on the decision so that we can get to the right decision. So that's a tough job. And again, you're not going to please everyone all the time, but we really have to work to get to the right answers for the good of the greater college football enterprise.
So how much interaction do you have with the coaches in this process? Are you insulated from some of that stuff with the commissioners, or do the coaches, come knocking on the door about, hey, you left us out, what's going on right here? Get it together, Rich.
Yeah, fortunately, I'm a couple layers. So we got the commissioners, then we got the athletic directors, then we got the coaches. So I have a couple layers.
So the ADs maybe a little bit more.
I talk to the ADs more. Okay. Only occasionally did I talk to a coach. Yeah. And so that was rare. And then every now and then I talk to an AD. I wouldn't say regularly, but I did hear from them and had some interaction with them. And sometimes I sought their feedback. Right. But I talked to the commissioners the most. Yeah. And they're very sure to pass on what they're hearing from their athletic directors and coaches. Yeah.
I mean, it's been I don't know if contentious is the right word. It feels like there's a tension below the surface around what direction needs to be taken as far as expansion is concerned. We heard from Commissioner Sankey today about he doesn't feel as if there, is an impetus on making any changes right now because you have a directive right now for 12. Are you all in a process where you feel as if you need to make a shift in a direction anytime soon? Or are you content staying with 12 if you don't find the right solution in the short term?
Well, I think that not making a decision is a decision in and of itself.
Sure.
If they agree to disagree on what the new format should be, what they're basically saying is let's keep the same format. But I do think that there is still a drive to get to what they might consider the best answer. And they're working hard towards that. And there's a couple of models out there. The really two prevalent ones are the automatic qualifier model, the 4-4-2-2-1-1, or the 5+11, which is to seed the teams based on ranking.
Right.
And then there's the number. Is it 12? Is it 14? Is it 16? So those are things that are kind of swirling out there. And they're really just trying to get as much data and information as they can to make an informed decision, because I think what they don't want to do is to make a big change and then a couple years later go, that wasn't good. We need to do something else. So they're being very deliberate about this and thoughtful, I think. So I think they would like to get to what might be a better place, if there's a better place, if that makes sense.
Right.
So if we don't have something by the fall, I think they may make a decision. Fall or December 1st is really where our deadline is. Then we'll probably stick with the current format, and maybe they address it again later, or maybe we just stick with the one we have.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so is there a thought process from your standpoint of would you like to see it be a more long-term solution, right? So like instead of let's try this out for a little while and maybe switch to some other format, would you like to get to whatever the next decision is, be the one that we're going to stick with for a while?
I would like to. I would like to get there, but I will say though that the current format is a viable option.
Right.
And if they decide to stick with that, that is a perfectly good option. And in fact, I will go so far as to say there's not a bad option on the table. Like there's not an option that's out there that I go, if they do that, it's going to destroy college football. You know, we're going to have some great games. We're going to crown a champion. I am certain of it. But I also have confidence that they're going to come to a good solution and we're going to execute it.
Okay. Last question I have for you here. As the season progressed, it seemed as if one of the military academies might have had an opportunity to be a part of this college football playoff. How exciting was that for you in particular to see that potentially happen there with Army?
So I'll say I was really excited to see Army have such a spectacular season. The only way that it could have been better if it was Air Force. But I was really proud of the way that Army played football this year.
Right.
And they did an outstanding job and had a good bowl game at the end. So it's just good to see teams that rise up and are in the conversation.
Right.
You know, and that's the beauty of this playoff is that we're seeing teams that previous to this weren't even being considered.
Right.
And now you have a lot of teams that they just are stepping up and getting into the mix.
Yeah.
And so that's the beauty of this, and it makes the whole regular season better.
Yeah.
And that's also a great thing and a great byproduct. And the one thing we don't want to do is make the regular season worse.
Right.
We want it to be good across the board. And like they say, rising tides lifts all ships.
Yeah.
We talked about Army. We talked about Air Force. Let's use a Navy. We'll use a Navy quote.
Gotcha.
The rising tide lifts all ships, and that's what we want the playoff to do.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you taking a little time to talk with me again. We are here once again live at SEC Media Days with Rich Clark from the College Football Playoff, the executive director here. If you like this content, make sure that you stay locked in right here at the War Rapport. Thank you to the folks over at Camera Graphics who make sure you got all these beautiful visuals we see right now. Also brought to you by the good folks over at the Rogue Shop. Head there, rogueshop.com. Use code Rapport at America's #1 online dispensary. That's it. We're out of here. Until the next time, and as always, War Eagle.